All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Empower Employment. Joining me this evening is my good friend Rajiv Sharma, who will be telling us about his life experience living in Canada here, living in Kitchener. You'll be talking about your career as a police officer and so on. So why don't you take it away and introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hi, thank you for having me, Narine, first of all. And my name is Rajiv Sharma. I was born in India. At age 7, my father and the family, we left India to come to Denmark, then England, and we ended up in Canada, actually right in Kitchener, back in late 1973. So basically I grew up in Kitchener and Waterloo, and I became a police officer here. So a lot has happened between 1973 and now. So yes, and Narine here has invited me, and I want to share my journey being raised and living in Kitchener and Waterloo, and then getting into employment with the Waterloo Regional Police Service at an early age. And basically it was back in 1988 that I was hired, and I was one of the first visible minority officers of South Asian descent back at that time, after my brother. So
That's good. And KCI for?
I actually went to WCI first, and I ended up at KCI for the last 2 years, grade 12 and grade 13. And it was shortly a few years after that that I got involved with policing. And it was would have been 1988, in September of '88.
Oh, fantastic. And for those of you who don't know, Rajiv happens to be one of our recipients for our Active Vision Awards, and so it was our honor to present to you that prestigious award. So we really appreciate the fact that you took the time to attend our prestigious Caribbean Dreams concert as well. One thing I'm more curious about though, policing for me is such of an important role in the community. And personally for me, I always wanted to become a police officer, but I learned one thing is that everybody has their own passion.
Yes.
And I found mine. I'm in social work, and I think police officers, they are in their own kind of social work anyways, because they're out there helping people and so on. So what made you get into that profession?
You know, that question, it always grabs me in the roots, because my bloodline actually is in the career of policing. My father was an army officer in India. My uncles were police officers in India, and then my older brother was a police officer with the Waterloo Regional Police Service. I became a police officer about 5-6 years after him, and my nephew is currently a police officer here as well. So the reason being is, you know, you're drawn into this sort of profession. And I think it's more of a calling than it is a chosen thing. And you don't just get up one day, you just feel like, you know, this is where your direction should go. And, you know, I believe in the integrity of the courage and quality and justice for everyone. And these are the qualities that drew me into that profession. And to this day, I still believe in those values, but it has been a challenge, I believe, in my profession and my journey within this service to uphold those values while facing a lot of challenges.
Yeah, and we are going to, speaking of challenges, we are going to talk more about you know, your good experiences obviously as officer for so many years, and some of the challenges as well that comes along with any job, but particularly for you as well. So make sure you keep an eye for that. We are going to have specific episode to talk about the challenges that comes along with your profession as a police officers and so on. Because I know, there are many people along the line who are, who are anxious and would love to get into that field, and having some advice from somebody who has been in the role, I think, will be a beautiful thing. One thing I would like to know, though, what some of the other jobs you've done prior to getting into policing?
Actually, I got into policing at quite a young age. So basically, right out of high school, I was going to go into a business administration. And prior to that, I was, sort of figuring out what I wanted to do. But I knew policing was always in the sort of calling in the back of my mind, because my brother was already a police officer at that time. So I knew that I would be going in that direction, and it was a matter of time. So at age 22, I believe, is when I got involved with policing. And it's prior to that, it was summer jobs,
Yes.
working in restaurants and
Yeah.
doing bartending or other things.
Of course, yeah.
And cooking and these kinds of jobs to go through school, and and even construction jobs, just to gain the experience of what the world is about, right? But I knew that policing is more up my alley at that time. So we joined the police service back in, like I said, in 1988, and as well as doing other things. As I was growing up, I was involved heavily into martial arts prior to policing. That was one of the reasons I got into policing, because I believe in self-defense is also a form of discipline that encourages, good values, and to stand up for what is right and wrong and injustice. So that formed my character also, and that I benefited into policing. And I won a lot of awards in competitions back then. And also my family supported me through that kind of competitive lifestyle. And it was also in 1996 that I won Mr. India Canada.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So I carried on in the competitive nature of outside of policing as well. So these are things I think you need if you need to be a leader in policing, but even outside, as a visible minority, I think we have to set examples and be role models for our future generation that's coming up. And if there's inequalities or inequities, we have to address those.
Yeah. Yeah, and you brought up a good point there. And so I know we are going to continue this conversation. We're going to talk more in depth about your experiences and so on. But I know, me being in the role where I work as a job developer, so I kind of really mold jobs, for people who want to, get into something that they're passionate about, so to speak. And I've had people in the past that are saying, I want to get into the police force and so on, and they're asking me, what's the first step? And I mean, I usually do some research and give them some advice based on best of my ability and so on. But somebody who's been in the profession for so long and has been very passionate, what advice do you have for the younger generation, or even the new people who would like to get into policing? What will be some of the the few recommendations you're going to make to them?
Well, I mean, policing is a tough profession in terms of selection process and getting in. But you have to stay true to your own value system, no matter what. But you're definitely there to serve the community, and you have to be, good moral standing and character, and also have some post-secondary education. And you have to be a leading role model that actually wants to help the community and prosper in the right direction. I think you have to be genuine in that undertaking, and that will come across in your work and your interaction with people. And I think that is more important. And it has become a competitive field when you're inside the actual profession, but all in all, it is still a very, very respectable profession. But you have to address inequalities at the same time, I believe. And at times it costs you a lot of things along the way,
Yeah.
and which we will get into.
For
I'm
sure,
with our
for
next
sure,
episode.
for sure. I like the fact that you mentioned about sticking to your values. I think those things are important. I mean, not necessarily only for the role as a police officer, but obviously for any role. I
Yes.
think anything you want, if you want to be successful in what you do, you know, that ethics thing that I always tell people about, you know, stay true to your values. It's so important in order for you to grow and move forward. And I like the fact that you said that. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to hear more of you, your experience, all of those pieces and so on. So what can we expect from you on our next episode?
I'm going to outline step by step my progression through the years in policing and my challenges that I encountered and how I dealt with them and continue to deal with them, because you know what, I'm nearing the end of my journey as a police officer, and I believe that there's a lot to be told about changes that need to happen and inequalities that need to be addressed and systemic racism that needs to be brought to the forefront and addressed, so changes that should be happening are happening, and they should have happened a long time ago. And therefore we will get into those years of how I dealt with them and continue to deal with them and the cost I endured in relation to coming to the forefront and dealing with them, because many visible minority officers stayed quiet, and they still are quiet and are suffering in silence. So if you speak up, yes, there's a cost to that, but at the same time your conscience is also a cost to yourself. So therefore I think that true change has to come forward, and you have to vocalize and take that step to say, no, this is wrong, this is why it's wrong, we need to change this.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm really looking forward to hear more, you know, because you have so much to share, and he already shared some of that with me. But I'm happy that you took the time to come, so that you're sharing your story with our viewers and so on. And I can assure you that we're going to have lots of emails. How can people get in touch with you if they would like to contact you directly for questions, or just to kind of, you know, want to follow up on you kind of thing?
I'm also currently on Facebook. I have Rajiv Sharma, police officer. You can look me up. This has become sort of my passion in addressing these things. And at the same time, you can contact me even through you, or,
That's right, yeah.
or you know, my email account, which is regsharma, R-E-G Sharma @gmail.com, and I'll be glad to address any questions. And even if people have experienced issues that even with the Human Rights Commission or Tribunal or with the police service, I'd like to know about it, and maybe we can discuss things in an open forum.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. And you know, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. And as I can assure you, we're going to continue this conversation because Rajiv, my good friend here, has lots to share when it comes to policing, and I'm excited to hear more and take it you know, to the next level, so to speak. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So thank you so much for watching, and make sure you take the time to share this video. I know this is a little bit different than what you're accustomed to. You're accustomed to the Caribbean Spice radio show where we play lots of music and entertainment and so on. And there's nothing wrong with entertainment, you know, and that's one of the reasons why we do it. We promote the culture and so on. And from time to time, we also do interviews on Sunday at our live radio show and so on. But now we're taking a different approach, because we want to get to the bottom of things now. We want to actually solve problems. Now there's too much entertainment going on all over the place. And I love entertainment, don't get me wrong. But I think it is time for us to take things seriously and really address some issues that's happening in the community, whether that be locally or even to a national level. And that's the approach Rajiv and I are taking right now to move forward. So we will look forward for your support. You know, you can reach out to me as well. You know how to find me. You can even Google my name and find me that way. You'll find me. But I'm looking forward to a continuous conversation with all of you, and any sort of feedback that you want to give us as well. We'll be happy to take them as well. But it was such a pleasure to have you, and I look forward to have you again. It is more likely you're going to probably see it on my Facebook wall, but it is more likely that we are going to be back same time, 6 o'clock on Wednesday. So we're going to be live, but this video will be on, so make sure you take the time to share the video, because even if you don't find this conversation useful in any way, there might be somebody else who can really benefit from it. So I really would encourage you to share it, and if we can make a difference in one person's life, it's my philosophy,
yes,
you know.
of course.
If we can make the difference in one person's life, it means that we have done our job, and that's what we're all about, you know. Make changes and moving forward. So what Rajiv and I were doing now, we are taking things to a different level. So basically, to summarize everything we've said here, we are not going to policing role, and you will know more what I'm talking about once Rajiv shares some of his experiences in the field. So once again, thank you so much, and we will see you again next week, 6 o'clock, Wednesday, and that will be posted on my wall. So until next time, this is Rajiv and Narine, wishing you a great today and even a better tomorrow.